Have you ever had a moment where your friend holds up an invisible mirror to your face and suddenly you're like, shit, I'm the problem? Like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. That was me this week. And 2 weeks ago on FaceTime, I kind of realized in having a conversation with my friend Elena, in this chat, what happens when you're your biggest problem? Can you admit that sometimes you are your biggest problem? Not in a self-blame way, not in a critical way, not in a healthy voice in your head kind of way, but in a turning it into a very powerful and, hey, I have some authority, I have some self-sovereignty over my life sort of way. Okay? So instead of complaining, we're changing. We are not going to maintain wounds. In this, we're going to talk about aging and evolving. We're going to talk about friends like Elena, who lovingly mirror you, and how to take one tiny step in moving the needle on changing things that actually shift the entire story. Okay? That's what we're talking about. And I told you, we're going to get to my ChatGPT questions, which this week, they're a little off the charts. But yeah, let's get back to the FaceTime with Elena. Okay? So for some context, there's been this one topic that I have been complaining about. I've been complaining. Also, why does this one hair do? What is that? What is this? Okay, that's fixed. All right. I have been complaining about this one thing for what feels like a century. It's been a bit. It's been a bit, but it feels like a while. Okay. So the one thing. That one thing in your life that you vent about monthly, that runs through your brain, that you get super reactive to. Maybe you're talking about it weekly, maybe daily, not with the same person. And it's like, it's keeping you in this little cage of misery, so to speak. Okay. So yeah, that thing. For me, it's almost been a year. Basically, same rant, same plot, same no character development here. No, like if I was in an episode of a show, they would be like, we got to write. Maybe I wouldn't show up next season, or they would write me out. Or, I would go off to college for a little bit, until they could figure out, like, how do we develop this character a little bit better? It's a rerun, basically. I'm in Groundhog's Day. So I'm on FaceTime with Elena, right? And I started with my situation, and I just watched her face. I saw it in her face. She wasn't annoyed. She wasn't being judgmental. She was just like, I am not auditioning as a backup dancer in this bitch's self-sabotage anymore. And she stayed quiet. She just let me witness me in real time. She didn't coach me. She didn't emphasize anything. She didn't come quick to the, let's save the day for this girl. She didn't offer any perspective. She just listened. And yes, a lot of times we need people to just listen. But it wasn't a listening, like, hey, do you want me to listen right now? Or do you want me to intervene kind of thing? It was a listen so I could hear myself louder. Okay? The silence was loud. And halfway through saying the same thing, for the 100th time, I finally heard myself. And I know this is why a lot of people like therapy. And I know this is why it's great to have a friend who listens, because sometimes hearing your own thoughts out loud and what's going on up there, and like really hearing it without looking for an answer or looking for someone to fix or looking for someone to give you like a 10-step thing that you're probably not going to follow anyway, because you still haven't like move through the thing. Sometimes just hearing yourself like from outside of your body is the thing. And that is what I needed. And in that moment, I thought to myself, oh my God, I have become that girl, not that girl. You know what I mean? That girl where you're like, why did we invite this bitch to dinner? Like, here we go again, talking, not the fun, kooky. Maybe she had too many drinks and she's a fun time, not that one. Not the one everybody's looking forward to. Not the one where you're like, she's evolving. She's working on her shit. Not that one. The one who just complains about everything, where it's like a broken record, complains about change, would shoot down any intervention you tried to give them, any type of suggestion, who doesn't want to hear it, who kind of likes this game they're running, this theme they're running. They don't want to change, and they're kind of like the villain in their own episode. She didn't have to say a word because I got it. She just held up a beautiful, ornate French mirror, full body, where I was like, I see myself under fluorescent lighting. I see it all. I saw everything. No good lighting. I saw the angles. Yeah, just me and the truth. And honestly, kind of what, I got off the phone with her. And about 20 minutes later, I sent her a text saying, okay, I'm annoyed with myself right now. I'm kind of sick of this. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And then I kind of like started dealing with my thing. And then like a week later, I wrote that Substack article. Again, if you want to subscribe to the Substack, it's somewhere here. But that article, that letter I wrote, and it's not an article, okay? It should have been a rough draft. But I wrote it in the sting, so to speak. And I was talking to myself in that kind of, in the writing. And what made me, I guess, feel so active, so like sandpaper rubbing against me, was that the things that like worked for me at 35 are not working at 44. The things that I even liked at 35, I don't even like anymore at 44. And none of that is failure, right? It's nature. It's evolution. I like the same things I liked when I was 10. Yeah. Sometimes a bowl of Captain Crunch hits the spot. Sometimes Oreos in a tall glass of cold milk hit. But, Captain Crunch ain't doing shit to my 44-year-old perimenopausal protein needing body, And also, it's kind of too sugary now. I don't even, it's just like that nostalgia thing. So this isn't failure. It's what happens. And it's okay. But I got to stop trying to approach shit the same. I got to stop trying to approach 44-year-old problems with 35-year-old mindset experience and from a 35-year-old Donna worldview or Donna on Donna view. You know what I mean? Like how I would view myself or how I would walk through something or even with those tools. And I kind of have to level up. Okay. And that's kind of where I guess a lot of my aggravation was coming from because I was like being so annoyed with myself and so frustrated with myself. And it's like, you shouldn't even be because you're trying to approach this and deal with this in a language that you don't even speak anymore or, you don't even use every day. You speak a whole other language now. You speak a different dialect, like get to it and use it. Why are you not? And the thing I keep complaining about, maybe that's not the problem. Maybe it isn't a problem. Maybe I've just outgrown it. Maybe my approach is done. Maybe how I'm seeing it, maybe through the lens I'm seeing it. Like, it's okay to look, at a past version of myself and go, oh, wow, she was trying. She really was trying to do her best. She didn't know there was going to be more. She didn't know it was going to be different. She didn't know there was even more for her than she could imagine. She couldn't even think this big. And the she is me in this, but it could also be you, whatever your pronouns are. But it's like, that's where I'm at right now. I couldn't imagine there was going to be more. I couldn't imagine this was going to be it. And yet I'm approaching a lot of it and trying to solve it through that more like narrow view of myself mindset. Does this make sense? This is just kind of like where I'm at because yeah, I'm tired and sometimes uninspired and sometimes frustrated with my own process. But aging and moving on is essentially a constant like energetic rebrand. And there's going to be like constant reinvention. Look at people who've hung around a really, really long time. Again, I use people like in the public eye and examples of people in the public eye because we all have seen them, right? Like if I say my friend Samantha, you're going to be like, who the fuck is she? She doesn't even have Instagram. But like, look at somebody like Madonna. Like she's constantly had to change. Was that part industry? Was that part being relevant? Was that part marketing? Was that part, ooh, wow, shock and awe? Yeah. But also think about who she was when she was that woman living in that apartment downtown, basically sleeping in the stairwell, versus then the woman who went on tour, was exposed to the world, got to be connected with some of the greatest, fashion designers, choreographers, artists, thinkers, songwriters, collaborators. Yeah. It's going to be a rebrand. It's going to change. You're going to move through and you're going to look back and you'll be like, man, I sounded like that. But people got to see Material Girl so they can appreciate, I can't think of the fucking song right now, but Hung Up. You gotta, you appreciate, you see where she came from, you see where she is, and you see where she tried. Like that Cowboy album. Not what was the one with Justin Timberlake? That one was not, but well, maybe it's what she was feeling at the time. It was the vibe. But circle back, let's many people weren't feeling the Beyonce country album. Many people weren't feeling the Bad Bunny album. I can't think of the name of it right now because I'm been having a day. I was at that concert. The concert where he wore Gucci, the Gucci fit. The concert before this one. A lot of people very disappointed. You could tell that album was for him. That album wasn't for the people who jumped on. You know what I mean? With the dance party. That album was a little sadder. It was a little more introspective. It was a little, him kind of moving through fame. And then we got this one. So again, you can be frustrated with yourself, but you got to know, like, you're constantly going to rebrand. And sometimes the rebrand's going to happen, maybe even without your permission or without the full court press marketing meeting, like executive call, board meeting. Okay, what are we doing here? What's the 90-day plan? Sometimes the rebrand just kind of like happens. And then you look back and you're like, okay, this is where we are now. And you don't even realize it. And that's where I kind of am realizing now that I've outgrown a lot of things, that I used to like, why things aren't hitting for me, why things aren't making me happy like they used to. Even certain foods, even though, restaurants I used to go to, I'm like, man, this ain't it anymore. And I could see where I'm like trying to chase nostalgia. And I can see where I'm trying to make things happen that it's just like, it's like going back to high school. It's like, yeah, it's nice to see the lockers and see that plaque on the wall and be like, wow, but I don't want to go back to class there. I have no desire to. No. I do not. And I don't want to go back to that person who I was. I was like Gretchen Grumbler from Recess Schools Out. I was a mess. Anyway, what I guess I'm trying to say is that there's a grief in this that I had to like mourn, but I also had to realize that there is freedom in this that maybe I didn't realize and that I wasn't appreciating, or maybe that I wasn't even seeing. And it's kind of like a freedom from myself and a freedom from like my old ways and a freedom from the pressure I used to put on myself and a freedom from those constrictions or caring like what everybody thinks. And I keep expecting the old things to kind of fulfill the new me when they don't. And I'm choosing complaining instead of curiosity or honestly even changing. I got to be honest. And so now I'm kind of like, what if I just let myself evolve, even if I have no idea where it's going? Can I literally let Jesus take the wheel? Can I look out the window and enjoy the scenery? I've done it before. I've trusted it's all going to go where it's supposed to go. Can I not try to hold sand in a closed fist? Can I open my palm? Like, can I trust that it's going to work out, even if I don't have the whole thing figured out, even if I don't know the rebrand, even if I don't have the mood board, I don't have the vision, we don't have the outfits picked out. I don't know what font we're using. Like, can we just get in the studio? Like, I'm trying to make the album cover art before I even like just write down some ideas for some songs or some lyrics, like, or go through the journal entries to be like, do we have something here? You know what I mean? And a lot of this has ended up with me feeling like bored and uninspired. And that's why I kind of did that hot hobby thing this summer. And I was calling it like a hot hobby summer and a hobby renaissance, because I needed like a little newness, and I needed to find some new stuff to figure kind of out who I'm becoming. And I feel like I'm doing this a lot. Like I am constantly like reinventing. I'm constantly like, on this next version of myself. And just as I'm starting to like learn and figure out the current version of myself, it's like, okay, we're doing this again. Like, it's like being in a hotel and like starting to unpack your clothes and finally you get some things out of the suitcase and you're putting them in the drawer. And then it's like, oh no, we're on to the next spot already. And you're like, man, I just figured out the room number and we're had to get to breakfast in the morning. And okay, I guess we're doing this again. We're moving again. And the change is very, very exciting. But it's like, okay, this is going to be more work and this is going to take then more time. But it is true. Like if I'm not moving the needle forward, I'm just maintaining a wound. I'm just maintaining the same old, and I can't complain about movement. I could be frustrated with it. I can be scared. I can be like, oh, I don't know where this is going. I don't know if I know how to deal with this. But sometimes the complaining itself, I guess, makes the movement feel more comfortable. Like a lot of times I feel like when I'm talking or talking it out for the 150th time that I'm processing it, but I'm finding out that like I might be like finding procrastination in it. Like it might actually be procrastinating. I need to talk about it. I need to say what I'm feeling, but I don't think I need to like beat a dead horse. Like, even though I don't like that term, but like I guess I don't need to make moving through the thing or that my identity, or it's like when they say, oh, healing becomes your identity. Like, it's easy to make healing become your identity, right? Because you put so much work into it. It's something that you're maybe finally proud of, that you actually talked about, that you actually brought up. And then it's quick to become like the narrative, and it's quick to become the same thing. But without like doing something about it, and without having action, like, you're naming the problem, but you're not doing anything about it. You're like, it just becomes words. It's not a full sentence. It's not a full thing without action. And this is kind of like what I realized. I just was in a constant rehearsal with complaining about this, and that was like holding me back, instead of just like doing something about it, and or changing my approach, or mixing it up. And Abraham Hicks is, I don't know if you know her. She's like a channeler, and she talks about these moments of contrast a lot. She talks about like the people or the moments that kind of rub you the wrong way, right? And she even talks about like a lot of times it's yourself, or a lot of times it's a coworker, or someone who's like in your life for a season or whatever. And the situation like rubs you the wrong way, or the situation gets you very reactive, or it gets you very, like, I've learned that like frustration for me is like me reacting. And even my husband will say, he's like, I'll say to him, instead of taking it out on him or being mean, or being short or defensive, now I'll kind of be like, hey, I'm frustrated. It has nothing to do with you. It's all me, but like, I don't want to be frustrated with you and take this out on you. And I know that it's sometimes in frustration or deep frustration, like something big ends up happening for me. Like, I have an aha, or I have a realization, or, I see something, like I see it from a different perspective, or I figure out the approach finally, or I figure out the way to kind of solve it, or maybe just drop it all together and be like, yeah, you're trying to fit a round peg, square peg into a round hole. And this, like, this isn't even something you want to be doing. This is just like, because you said you were going to do it, you think you need to do it. So just like, let it go. And Abraham Hicks talks about these moments that kind of like rub you the wrong way, or these people who kind of like rub you the wrong way, right? And they're doing that because they're showing you something that you might be ignoring. And in the case with my conversation with Elena, she stayed quiet so I could kind of see it on my own, instead of, like, she knew as my friend, eventually I'd get to the point where I would like annoy myself, right? Where I'm like, man, I sound like the people who constantly complain to me and then come to me for answers. And then I offer some advice. And then eventually I just have to shut the fuck up and just like let me realize they're on their own path. Right. But like, sometimes that annoyance, that feeling, it's information. And Elena wasn't annoyed with me. She let me realize that I was annoyed with me, because I kept maintaining and giving fuel and giving life to this situation that I kept like kind of saying that, yeah, I'm done. I don't like this. So if I don't like this, like, why am I giving it so much life? Right? Because I was maintaining it. I had it in ICU, and I was pumping it full of fluids and steroids and keeping it on a vent and keeping it going. So now when I bring this certain thing up or something similar, this new way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to ask myself, are you complaining right now, or are you changing? And knowing myself, sometimes I have to complain quite a bit before I change. And the other thing that I'm going to kind of start doing is that when I hear myself in this kind of loop, I'm basically going to be like, what's one thing or one needle that I can move here? Like, how can I move the needle forward here just a little? It doesn't have to fix everything, but just to break this loop that I have myself in, so I can at least do something. And maybe the needle in the moment is to just stop thinking about it, stop talking about it, walk away, do something different until like a new approach or a new like method comes up, or a new aha. And that's what I'm going to do. But now, how do I make this about you? Right? Because you're listening to this for a reason. Because if this episode is only about me, like, I don't want that. I could just do audio journaling. Where are you maintaining that wound? And where are you not moving that needle forward? Maybe you're saying, I can't meet anyone. But after work, you go home from work. It's work and home and work. Maybe it's, I can't lose weight. And I know I can't lose weight might get a little people tight with that. Hi, it's me. I was trying for close to 3 years to lose weight. I'm doing everything. I'm trying. Yeah, I was doing everything the same way that I had known how to do it. I had to change up my approach. I had to try something drastically different. It was wildly uncomfortable. But I had to listen to people. I had to listen to the way other people did things. I had to adapt it for me. I had to hear myself basically saying I had tried everything, and then hold a mirror up to myself once again and be like, well, have you really tried everything? And then when someone said to me, you've tried everything, have you cut out sugar? Yeah, for 3 weeks. Have you exercised 3 times a week? Are you moving every day? And then when you start answering this question, you're like, well, yeah. Well, for how long? Did you do it for a month? Yeah. Did you do it for 2 months? Did you do it for 3? No, I haven't done it for. We haven't done it for 3 months. How you as a science person, and you as someone in this world, even with a medication, sometimes it takes very few medications work on the first zap. And if they do work on the first zap, you have to keep giving the medication, right? Like a pain medication. You don't take pain medication, then your pain goes away forever. No, we have to figure out the root thing of what's causing the pain, or we have to keep giving you the pain medication. So you really haven't tried everything, Donna. And the truth of the matter was, I hadn't changed really anything nutritionally since Obama was president. Like real hardcore. Okay? So again, you got to ask yourself these things, but you have to do it compassionately, just like I had to learn to. And you have to hear it out loud, and you have to be nice to yourself. And maybe you have to change your approach. I hear a lot of people saying, I can't find a hobby. I can't find anything to do. I don't know what's going on. I want to have something to do on Saturday. I've sat home the last 3 weekends. Okay, well, you're literally waiting for joy to knock on your door like the Jehovah's Witnesses, babe. Like, you really, that's what you got to go find it. You got to change it up. You got to maybe ask people to do something. I hate my job. I said that for 2 years. Guess what? I finally had to leave. It got to the point where I was so frustrated, I quit on the spot. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is done. You hate your job. Have you done anything on LinkedIn? Have you even updated your resume? Have you gone to a career fair? Have you told your friends you're looking for work? Keep me in mind if you hear about something. But if the last time that you logged into LinkedIn was during the pandemic, it was 2020, okay, maybe. Hi, it's you. It is me. I know that. This isn't a blanket of shame that I'm trying to wrap you up in, okay? This is power. This is sovereignty, because we cannot change what is going on in this global Ringling Brother and Barnum and Bailey's circus that currently is the checks and balances system of the U.S. But we can change what is going on in our small corner of the world. We can clean up our house a bit. We can rearrange the furniture. And sometimes just that little thing is enough to wake you back up, just like that conversation and hearing myself out loud was enough for me. Let's just do the segment, shall we? So things I asked ChatGPT this week. I asked ChatGPT, how can you or me in the future, without having to have a conversation with Elena where she gets annoyed with me and also she's acting like my pseudo therapist, how can I kind of hear my thoughts out loud and move through and like her and I have had this conversation like 15 times. How do I do that without having to do that with her again? And let me tell you something. ChatGPT came to the rescue. It basically said, create audio notes every time you want to complain about something, or you are frustrated about it, or it's the I want to quit my job. Say it's I hate my job thing. Take out your phone, record a voice memo of I hate my job. Put it in a folder, the I hate my job folder. And every time you want to basically bitch about hating your job, instead of telling your spouse, instead of telling your friend, instead of taking it to the group chat, tell yourself and record that and listen to it. And then after a month, 2 months, 6 months, go back and hear how you've been saying the same thing, maybe after 2 years like me, and then kind of ask yourself, like, what are we going to do about this? Are we going to, because this is starting to become my narrative. This is starting to become my identity. This is starting to become like the thing that I'm known about, the girl who hates her job. So how am I going to hold the mirror up to myself and kind of, move on this or do something about it? Okay. So that was like the first thing I asked ChatGPT this week. Second thing I asked ChatGPT, I got to read this one now. Ready? How do I know whether I'm actually processing something or just procrastinating my next step? Okay. So according to ChatGPT, processing feels like noticing. Procrastination feels like circling. I got that circle. I'm procrastinating. You know what I mean? Processing increases clarity. Procrastinating increases confusion. Processing leads somewhere. procrastinating keeps you in loops. So ask yourself, has my understanding of this shifted in the last 30 days? Has my behavior shifted in the last 30 days? Has my environment shifted in the last 30 days? If all three are no, you are not moving. You are maintaining. Action creates clarity. Even a messy action is more diagnostic than spending over 30 hours of thinking on the same thing. My therapist once said to me, would you pay to talk about this again? And I was like, what? I was like talking about like the same person in therapy, and like it was over. Like it was just someone who like really upset me. It was something at work. I like couldn't get over it. I couldn't move through it. I didn't even like work at the place anymore, but it really kind of like messed me up. Like I hadn't worked there for like a minute. And like every so often, like something had happened at my job that like kind of triggered that experience. And then we talked about it for a bit, and then I kind of stopped. And then like every now and then I would bring it up. And finally one day she goes, how much would you be willing to pay to talk about this? She's like, how much do you think you've spent talking about this? And I was like, what? She knows money. I think in cashola, you know, money talks with me. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, okay, you pay $100 something a session, right? This is a couple of years ago. I'm sure therapy's a lot more now. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, say you're paying $1 a minute. We'll just make a number. She's like, you talked about this person and this situation. She goes, we talked about this person, this situation, the whole thing. She's like, 3 sessions. She's like looking through the book now. She's got the friggin' receipts. 3 sessions in September, 2 sessions in October, 1 in November. Then you brought it up for half a session, December. Didn't talk about it for a month. She's like, we're at a couple $100 right now. She's like, would you sit at a table or go to a counter like you would in a restaurant or a coffee shop, bodega, whatever, and hand someone $400 so you could talk about this? Is that worth it to you? And I was like, no. I was like, this person should be paying me for, you know, how rude they were to me. I just was like, no, I don't want to give, I don't want to give this person I wouldn't pay. They were like, she was like, would you pay this person to talk about them? And I was like, what? And she was like, you wouldn't, right? And I'm like, no, I wouldn't give them any money. I don't even, you know. So she's like, so then why are we still doing this? She's like, clearly there's something there that we need to get over. She's like, but let's figure out the thing that you need to get over, that this triggered or that this brought up or what this is activating in you, because it's not this person. It's at this point, right? You haven't even seen them in probably 2 or 3 years. So she's like, it's some type of wound that they threw major salt on or something that's there that maybe you haven't realized. So like, let's figure that out so we can kind of fix that, because that's much more productive than talking about this any more than we already have. We've talked about this for 30 hours already. Let's have some little messy action that is going to lead us to a little bit more diagnostic of figuring out where this is all coming from. And maybe we won't solve it in this session. Maybe we'll bring something else up. Maybe it'll uncover something different. Maybe it'll be a waste of time, but it's better than giving this more life and keeping this whole thing on life support, you know? So that was one of the things that I asked ChatGPT. The second thing I asked ChatGPT this week is kind of dumb. I got to be honest, but it is what I asked. So hold on, I have it up here. How do I make a Starbucks vanilla cold foam at home? I swear this is what I asked it, without buying a $600 espresso machine. So gotcha, girl. Basically, it said I needed heavy cream, vanilla syrup. I got the vanilla syrup from Trader Joe's. It is delicious. And a $10 handheld frother. You could also shake the cold foam in a container, like, you know, you're making butter on the prairie. But basically, you need 10 minutes where no one's going to bother you and annoy you. And you're basically going to whip this up. So what you're going to do is you're going to do the heavy cream. You're going to put it in a container. You're going to add a little bit of vanilla, and then you're going to froth it. Or what you can do is if you have like a jar or something, you can take the heavy cream, you can put a little bit of vanilla syrup, and you can shake the jar. Again, don't put a lot of heavy cream. I would say just put maybe like a quarter of a cup and shake the jar. I shaked it for like 2 minutes, shook it, and shaked it. I shook it for 2 minutes, and I literally had cold foam. I was so happy, and that shit did not cost me extra money. So basically, you're going to do that. You're going to make an iced coffee. You're going to pour it over. And you're going to pretend that you're in some coffee shop on vacation when you are in your living room. So that was basically the second thing I asked ChatGPT. All right. Let's get to my find of the week here and the thing that I'm really, really loving. And then we'll get to the what the fuck of the week. All right. The thing that I'm loving. I have to get it off the floor. This book, if you have ADHD, if you are a procrastinator, again, this is all in theme with the topic of this with this episode, right? If you feel overwhelmed, if you can't get shit done, if you're running the same dialogue in your head, if you are self-sabotaging like you're getting paid for it, this book, The Anti-Planner, be careful because there are people on TikTok and there are people online who are duping this woman and stealing everything she has done and her creativity, and they are duping this book. So the woman's name is Dani. I'm going to put everything on the screen. Donovan, DaniDonovan. It is called The Anti-Planner book. I will link her real accounts and her Instagram. I believe those are her pronouns. If I'm not, I'm sorry. I will link them in the show notes because this book, dude, I don't even do half the shit in it. I literally just go to a page. Let's do this in real time together. Let's see. These are the tabs. Okay. Stuck, overwhelmed, unmotivated, disorganized, discouraged, extras. Let's do stuck because the whole thing was me complaining about the same shit for 500 years. So, well, a couple months, not 500 years. All right. So I'm going to go to the stuck tab. Boom. Done. How are you feeling? Let's walk through this together. Ready? How are you feeling? Difficulty getting started, indecisive, perfectionistic, distracted. I would say difficulty getting started, and then there are subcategories. My subcategory would be, I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it. Go to page 26, the book says. Well, first there's like a little blurb on being stuck. Okay, I'll just gloss over it. There are a few things more frustrating than desperately wanting to move on a task, but not being able to motivate yourself to complete it. Sometimes it feels like I'm looking up at a giant staircase and the first step seems so tall and out of reach that I don't even want to bother trying. It often feels like there's an invisible mental barrier preventing me from moving forward. Avoiding something stressful feels good in the short term since I don't have to deal with the unpleasantness of it in that moment. But deep down, I know it ultimately makes everything worse. Avoiding amplifies the anxiety. And the thing I start feels too intimidating to deal with, so I avoid it more. So the cycle feeds into itself, and it sucks. Literally what we were just talking about. You see how I bring it back. Okay. Avoidance is a self-defensive coping mechanism. Your brain is attempting to shield you from pain and discomfort by running away from the stressor. Okay. She then gives you some advice, and then you can kind of what being stuck looks like. Chronic procrastination, feeling paralyzed, inability to make decisions, lack of follow through, obsessive tinkering, inability to focus on one thing, ignoring deadlines, fear of failure, being angry at yourself. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Overwhelming guilt. Avoiding thinking about it in hope that it'll magically disappear. Yeah, that was old me. Now I've confronted okay. So let's go to page 26. We're on page 26, difficulty getting started. So we said, I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it. So basically, she gives you all this information. Why can't I just do the thing? She walks you through it. She gives you content. She gives you visualizations, and she gives you challenges. One of the ways that you can difficulty getting started, one of the ways of solving the problem, right? 5-second rule. A quick burst of do it now motivation to kickstart you into action without giving your brain the chance to talk you out of it. Learning to stop waiting until you feel like it or have more energy. Fast forward visualization. Identifying roadblocks. What else? Difficulty getting started. And then she gives you she gives you these worksheets. Can you see them? To do it. I'm not going to write in this beautiful book. Procrastination hit list. So basically, this book has helped me out so much. I wanted to shout out the writer. I think you should get it. There's no offer code. There's no whatever. I'm just putting the link down. I think this book is friggin' amazing. I even recommended it to my therapist for other people who are like me. I'm sure she's got a lot of them, though I like to think I am the only one. I am so unique. But yes, that book, great for ADHDers, great for people who trying to get shit done. It's great for everybody. I've even used some of the exercises on my husband when he's been stuck with things. He doesn't know that I've that I'm pulling it from the book. He thinks I'm a genius and thinks I am just the best at everything. But I'm taking it from Dani's book. So anyway, 10 out of 10 recommend. I think you should get that book. I'm using it to basically rebuild a lot of my routines, figure things out, help me move through stuff without shaming myself. So, my what the fuck of the week, and then we can probably end this episode. I don't know, was this a good one? I kind of was, I wasn't as hyped up as the last one because I didn't drink 27 espressos because I almost passed out on the train this week. And yeah, that was a thing. But I tried to keep myself in order because I felt like last week I was a little less, well, in the bi-weekly episode. So 2 weeks ago, I felt like I was a little all over the place and a little too much. So I was like, but then again, I kind of like that, you know? Anyway, my what the F of the week. I went to an event. I'm not shaming anyone. I am not, I got to talk about this. Let me take a. So I went to an event this last week with Kylie. And at the event was a woman, entrepreneur, not knocking her, not knocking the hustle, you know, not, hold on, just making sure this is recording. No, just me with a what the fuck. So we go to this event and a woman is selling. Now I know you know what I'm talking about. She's selling those chocolate covered dates. Okay. You know, like the ones we see on TikTok, the dates that are basically the fake Snickers bars that you convince yourself is like, it's a date with, you know, almond butter or peanut butter inside of it, an almond maybe if you're lucky. Then they cover it in chocolate, and then if you fancy, put a little Maldon sea salt on the top of it. Okay, this woman, she's selling them. So I was in need of a little snack. I could always use a snack. I like snacks, and so I asked her, I'm like, oh, how much are the dates? And she goes, they're $4.50. And so I was like, that's not that bad. Entrepreneur, small business, and then. In my head, I didn't say that out loud. You know, I kept that to myself. But as I'm like, oh, that's not that. I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. Like as I'm like, okay. And in my head, that's not that bad. She then continues with each $4.50 each, 2 for $9. Girl, 2 for $9 for some chocolate covered dates. I mean, first off, these are the dates from TikTok. Like we all know the recipe. Also, they ain't that hard to make. Granted, they don't look as cute as yours. They don't come in that cute little box. They're not like, you know, this whole setup, the whole vibe that you got going here. But like, that's all you're giving me is dates. And then like, there was no follow up with it. And I wanted so badly to kind of like give her an assist, but I took this vow where I'm not going to like intervene on people's lives. I'm only going to handle my own shit and like water my own lawn unless someone asks me, right? And someone like, I'm going to do what Elena did in the car. I'm going to just chill out unless someone's like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you offer me some? I'm not going to be like this holier than thou. Like I got all the fucking answers. You know, and I know I came off like that in the Substack, and that's why I did this episode to just kind of be like, hey, that was me being mad at me. But anyway, what I kind of wanted to say to her, and so I'm sharing it on here instead, I wanted to be like, babe, you got to tell me about these fucking dates. Like, are these Moroccan, what do they call them? Moroccan jewel dates? Whatever the name, is that what the name is? Let's Google this because I don't want to piss off Morocco because I'm trying to go there on a trip eventually. Morocco, what is it? Jewel dates? Hold on, let's figure this out. God thanks for the internet. Morocco, what are these dates called? Moroccan dates. Medjool, not jewel. My bad. So Moroccan dates, particularly the prize Medjool dates, I think I'm saying that right, are known as the king of dates. Why can't they be the queen of dates? They're famous for their large, soft texture and rich flavor with hints of caramel and honey. Yeah, let me tell you something. The Medjool dates are the ones that I got in my cabinet. I'll be honest with you, because you know a bitch loves to splurge on food. I literally will buy a shirt. This shirt was $1 at a flea market in London. No, this is Italy. It has some man's TB. It has some man's initials embroidered on it right there. This shirt was literally $1 at a flea market in Italy. It has a man's initials embroidered, TB, who I do not know, but this was $1. I will spend $1 on a shirt, but I'll spend some money on some dates that taste like caramel, wherever you are from in the United States. But she wasn't even like educating me on the dates. I wanted to tell her, I'm like, if you're going to charge $4.50 for these dates, you better tell me what kind of dates they are. I need to know if this chocolate is being like flown in from somewhere. Is it Madagascar? Is that where chocolate comes from? I don't know. Tell me, is this Tony Baloney's chocolate? Some of the best chocolate in the world, free trade, no slave labor, no child labor. Is it that? Or are these some bullshit chocolate chips that you got at Trader Joe's, semi-sweet, not even milk, not even like, 90% cacao dark, that like my mom used to do and melt in the microwave and pretend like she was doing something. You know what I mean? Like she pretended she was giving me candy. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom also, if we wanted a snack sometimes, she would open up a jar of Skippy and she would break up some chocolate that was left over from Easter and she would tell us like, go to town. Or she would, take a little cup of Jiffy in a little cup, throw some chips in it. And she was like, look, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup. And you know what? Now, I would probably spend $37 on that at some fancy restaurant, and they call it a deconstructed Reese's. And I would be like, ooh, here's my credit card. Go ahead. I would love a deconstructed. Meanwhile, Big D was doing that in the kitchen. She was doing that with the leftover Easter bunny ears that she cracked open off the candy my grandmother got us. And she'd be like, here, put some peanut butter on it. It's a Reese's. All right. Anyway, is the salt on top some fine ass sea salt from a water source that no vessel has ever been in? No human has ever touched that water. No Exxon tanker has never had an incident in that water. Is that where that sea salt is from? Babe, talk to me about the sea salt. Or is this from the same salt shaker that I got? I mean, even I have the Maldon sea salt. You know what I mean? You already know I got the finishing salt. If I got this in my house, like what am I spending $4.50 on this for? Okay? And I swear to God, I swear to Christ, if the peanut butter or the almond butter you're using is not organic, you have no business charging $4.50 for a date. Okay, with what? Half a teaspoon of plant-based butter in there? No. Okay. I swear to God, if it's Skippy, if she would have told, I didn't even ask because again, I was trying to keep my vow. But like, if I would have asked and she would have said there's that's Skippy peanut butter or that's some not brand that I don't know or I don't hand churn this peanut butter, I would have went galactic. I would have lost it. Okay, but the branding was cute. The setup was cute. She was very nice. The logo, loved it. But I mean, we all know how to, we've been on Pinterest, hon. We've been on TikTok. We know how to make these with knockoff Snickers bars. We know about the low glycemic index. We already know. You got it. You're not getting me with these and you're not pulling me in. So maybe use those talking points, or I hope that you're making them with those things. But I kind of wanted to pull her to the side. I wanted to tell her about the nut butter. I wanted to tell her about the salt. I wanted to be like, tell people it's gluten-free. There's a talking point. Tell them it's low glycemic. Tell them it's handcrafted, small batch, a little bit of love, a little bit of care goes into each one. Tell me this. But again, I took a vow of minding my own business and I was on maybe day 3 of it. But I then I was like, I don't know, tell me it takes 72 hours to make them. I don't know. But then I was like, this lady is asking $9 for these dates for 2. And that's more money than I'm asking for a monthly membership to my Substack. So who am I the crazy one? Because maybe I should be asking for more money. Maybe, am I talking about the benefit of the mirror, you know what I mean? Holding up the mirror. Am I talking to you about the benefits of my Substack enough? Where we do a monthly giveaway, where we have locked posts, where the vision board brainstorm is going to be invite only for paid subs in December and January, where I'm going to have the recording for paid subs, where we have the vault, which is like basically all the content I've ever made and all the kind of tools that I've used for myself, where that lives, so you can use it for yourself and you can kind of figure things out. Am I talking enough about that? I don't know. But again, hold the mirror up to yourself. You know what I mean? You got to figure these things out. All right. This week, I need you to sound off in the comments. I need you to email me. I need you to DM me. And I need you to basically tell me, where are you maintaining the wound? And what is the one needle move that you can make? What is the one tiny thing that you can do, or that you have done, or that you can share with this audience that I could talk about on the next episode? Because again, we're all community trying to help one another out. So email me, DM me, put it in the comments of this. Put it on the Substack post. We are in this together. We are doing this together. Life is not about becoming perfect. It's about being honest. It's about taking one step. It's about trying to figure out where you're going next, but not trying to control the whole thing, and also appreciating how far you've gone, maybe without even realizing it, and waking up and realizing maybe you're in the rebrand, like I kind of realized this week, and not putting so much pressure on yourself. And I hope this podcast makes you feel so not alone. And I hope it makes you feel seen. And I hope it maybe gives you some cliff notes and some, I don't know, maybe it gives you all the things you shouldn't be doing, right? You're like, let me tune in and listen to her and do the opposite. I mean, I do that with certain people in my life. I'll literally ask them for advice, and then whatever they tell me, I do the opposite. And honestly, they're great friends of mine and I appreciate them so much, because we just wouldn't do things the same way. And I learned that. And I'm like, let me ask them what I would do. what they would do. Whatever they tell me, I'm gonna do the opposite. I do that a lot with creative stuff where I'll ask like friends of mine who I know kind of are very algorithm intense and kind of love to buy anything they just kind of is recommended to them. I'll be like, oh, what do you think about this? And they'll be like, oh, no, I don't like that. And I'm like, okay, then that's definitely the thing I have to make the podcast episode about because they're just being fed the algorithm. And that's cool for them. They're very happy because they're, they just don't have the brain capacity to try to find new shit. Like I have a friend who's just like, she's so burnt out. She's got 3 kids. She has a business. She has a sick mom. And she's just like, I really just want to go and see an influencer, put on outfits and tell me what to wear and give me all of those links. And she's like, I don't care when I show up at the airport that 9 people have the same fucking like flight fit that I have on. She's like, I don't care that I look like I'm in a adult uniform. I don't care. She's like, trends, tell me what they are. But she doesn't have time to like find the stuff. And then you have like other friends who would never buy something that the algorithm suggests them, would buy the opposite, who don't like trends, who don't like cores. I have other friends like this who, who want to gatekeep everything, right? So again, different strokes for different folks. So anyway, that's what we got going on. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like it. I hope if you don't like it, don't do anything. But if you like it, please like it, comment, subscribe to this channel. I would love that. And share if you think it's worth it. So anyway, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. Okay. Bye guys.